Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're gonna be exploring some fascinating historical and philosophical ideas.
That's right.
We're diving into Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma from 1878.
Dense book.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but it's got some really interesting insights about Masonic thought,
He does.
and we're gonna break it down for
Yeah,
you.
we're going to focus on this idea of the search for Masonic light.
Masonic light. Okay, now you're speaking my language.
All right.
I mean, is this like some lost artifact we're talking about?
Well, not exactly an artifact. Think of it more like a metaphor.
Okay, a metaphor. So what's it a metaphor for?
Well, it represents the highest form of knowledge, the true knowledge of God and how we fit into it all.
I like that. A journey towards understanding.
That's a good way to put it.
And to really get into it, we're going to imagine ourselves as new initiates, about to undergo the 18th degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Knight Rose Croix.
The Rose Croix. Yeah, this degree really zeroes in on that search for Masonic light. Okay, so for those of us who didn't go to Freemasonry school,
Right?
what's the Scottish Rite all about?
It's one of the biggest branches of Freemasonry, known for its rituals and degrees. You know, each one builds on the last.
So by the time you get to the 18th degree, you've climbed a few ladders.
Exactly. It's a progression.
Yeah.
And the Knight Rose Croix degree, that's a big one. It's where you really start digging into the philosophy, the deeper meaning.
Got it. New initiate, 18th degree, searching for Masonic light. And Pike, he connects this journey to another pretty well-known story, doesn't he? Something about a master Kun.
He does. It's actually the legend of Hiram Abiff, a central figure in Masonic allegory. His story has been interpreted so many ways throughout history.
Okay, I can see that. It's like some people might see it as a representation of Christ's suffering,
Right.
while others might connect it to the fall of the Templars, or even something like the sun's journey across the sky.
You got it. And that's what's so cool about Masonic teachings. Even though they come from a specific tradition, they try to be universal. The symbols, the stories, they resonate on a bunch of different levels.
Yeah, it's like a universal language.
Exactly.
Open to everyone's own understanding, but still grounded in something bigger than any one person.
Exactly. And with the Knight Rose Croix, that search for truth, for that universal understanding, it's central.
Okay, so where do we start? Where did early Masons go to seek this Masonic light, some fancy temple?
Actually, that's what's so interesting. Pike points out that early Masonic practices, they didn't happen in buildings.
They didn't.
Nope. Under the open sky.
Wow. Under the stars. That's pretty powerful.
It is. It's about connecting with something vast, something ancient. Reminds us that the divine isn't stuck in some building.
Right.
It's in nature, in the cosmos.
Makes you want to step outside and just look up at the stars for a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's about tapping into that sense of wonder that we all feel when we look up at the universe.
For sure. And Pike, he takes that connection to the ancient world even further, right? He talks about Buddha, the ancient Phoenicians, even the Egyptian goddess Isis.
He does.
Okay, that's a diverse group. How does he even connect them?
Right. That's what we're going to get into.
Buddha, Phoenicians, Isis. We're going global with this. Pike really throws a curveball with this, doesn't he?
He does like to keep things interesting, but there's a reason he's bringing these figures up.
Okay, I gotta know, what's the method to this madness?
It's all about finding the common threads.
The common threads.
Yeah, those universal truths about God, about our place in the universe that show up across cultures and traditions.
So even though these belief systems seem worlds apart, Pike's saying they're all grappling with the same big question.
Exactly. And he digs into some fascinating details. Like with Buddha, he talks about how he started this society of prophets, the Samanians.
Oh, yeah. They believed in one God, right?
Right. One God and living in harmony with all creation. It's pretty cool when you think about it. Those ideas, they still resonate today. Mindfulness, interconnectedness.
Way ahead of their time. And then there are the Phoenicians, always with those serpents. That serpent biting its tail.
The Ouroboros.
That's it, the Ouroboros. Isn't that like the yin and yang symbol, that whole balance of opposites thing?
Absolutely. It's about cycles. Life, death, rebirth.
Yeah.
How things constantly change and renew themselves. Endings are just beginnings in disguise.
Deep stuff. Makes you think, right? And then you have Isis, probably one of the most powerful female figures in mythology. Pike quotes her saying something like, "I am nature."
Nature. The queen of the shades,
That's
yeah.
you.
She represents that creative life force, that energy that flows through everything.
Okay, but nature. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it?
You got it. It's about recognizing that light and shadow, they exist together. Just like those pillars, you know, Jachin and Boaz.
Jin and Boaz. Okay, remind me again what those were all about.
They were these pillars stood at the entrance to the Temple of Solomon, at least according to Masonic tradition.
Right, right.
They represent those opposing forces, that have to exist in balance. Light and dark, good and evil, male and female.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. Like, you can't really appreciate the light until you've experienced some darkness yourself.
I like that.
Right.
Okay, so we've got Buddha, the Phoenicians, Isis, Yuchin, and Boaz. It's like Pike's pulling from everywhere. Like he's saying each of these traditions, they all hold a piece of the puzzle to understanding this Masonic light.
That's a great way to put it. It's bigger than just one time or place. This search for truth, for understanding, it's woven into who we are as human beings.
It's like it's in our DNA. And speaking of ancient wisdom, Pike gets into some pretty heavy stuff, right? Like Lao Tzu's writings about reason, and even the Hindu Vedas talking about Brahma.
Oh yeah, he goes deep. He's connecting the Masonic search for the true word, that ultimate truth about the universe, with those ancient concepts of divine reason, the soul of nature. It's about that shared yearning for truth that connects us all.
So we're not just talking about like rituals or symbols here. This is about connecting with something much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Pike brings it all back to the individual.
Okay, how so?
He's saying it's not enough to just study these ancient texts or think big thoughts. It's about taking those ideas and actually living them.
So it's not just what you know, it's about how you live. Which makes sense, right? Because Freemasonry puts so much emphasis on personal growth, on making the world a better place.
Absolutely. But as we all know, making the world a better place, it's not always easy. There's a lot of darkness to deal with. And Pike, he doesn't shy away from that. He gets real about the difficult stuff.
That's what I appreciate about his writing. He doesn't pretend life is all sunshine and rainbows. He tackles those tough questions head-on: suffering, injustice, doubt. He gets it.
He does. And that's what makes his exploration of Masonic light even more powerful.
It's like staring into the abyss, right?
Yeah.
But it makes that search for light that much more important.
Absolutely. It gives a purpose. And Pike, he gets that. When he talks about suffering, injustice, war, doubt, he's not just talking about ideas. He's talking about the realities, the things that make us question our faith, make us question everything.
He does not hold back. I remember this one part, he talks about this feeling of being surrounded by darkness, that doubt that can creep in when you see so much suffering in the world. It's like heavy stuff.
It is. But he's right there with you, going through it.
Yeah. So what do we do? How do we deal with that darkness without letting it, extinguish the light?
He doesn't give you all the answers, but he gives you a way to think about it. He brings up those core Masonic virtues: faith, hope, charity.
We hear those a lot. They're not just like buzzwords, are they?
Not at all. They're tools, ways to live a better life, a more meaningful life. Faith isn't about blindly believing. It's about trusting in something bigger, even when it's hard.
When you don't understand.
Exactly. And hope isn't just wishing. It's that belief that things can get better, that we can make progress.
Okay.
And charity, well, that's about remembering we're all connected, treating each other with compassion, even when it's tough.
So it's like there are these guideposts, something to hold on to when everything feels chaotic.
Yeah, sources of strength.
Yeah.
To help us through the rough patches.
And it's in those tough times and that struggle between the light and the dark that Pike sees hope. He talks about Masonic labor as a way to fight back against the darkness to create a better future.
Exactly. For Pike, it's not just about believing in something. It's about doing something, about actively pursuing knowledge, bettering yourself, making the world a more just and compassionate place. We all have a part to play.
And it brings up some interesting examples to illustrate that, right? I was really interested in what he had to say about Jesus. You don't always hear a Mason talking about Jesus.
It's true. But that's one of the things I find so cool about Pike. He's not afraid to pull from different traditions. He sees Jesus as this, moral example, someone whose message speaks to everyone, even if you're not religious.
Right. It's like you don't have to be Christian to appreciate that message of love, of brotherhood.
Exactly. It's universal. And that ties into the whole idea behind the Rose-Croix degree, that ultimate triumph of truth, of liberty, of good over evil. We all have a part to play in that.
So what does it all mean? What can we take away from all of this, from Pike's exploration of Masonic light?
For me, it's a good reminder that this search for truth, for understanding, it never really ends. It's a lifelong journey.
It is.
And it's about being okay with that, accepting the good and the bad, knowing that there will be struggles, but holding on to hope, and knowing that each of us can make a difference.
Yeah. And you don't have to be a Mason to do it. We can all find our own Masonic light, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cultivate those virtues, faith, hope, charity in your own life. Build your own inner temple.
Love that. Building your own inner temple. What a powerful image. If we all focused on that, imagine what we could accomplish. Well, that's another deep dive in the books. And we've got Albert Pike to thank for this one. It may have been written way back in 1878, but it still feels relevant today, don't you think?
For sure. It's about those timeless questions,
Yeah.
those big questions about life, the universe, and everything, and our ability to create a better future.
So as you go about your day, think about what Masonic light means to you. What are you trying to illuminate in your own life, in the world around you? And what can you do today to move towards that light? Until next time, keep asking questions, keep seeking, and keep diving deep.